Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. Wanted to just make a quick video in between sets here of safety bar squats and bench press to kind of commentate and talk a little bit about something I saw posted on Instagram today from Arian Kamisi. Now, Arian is one of the head coaches over at Squats and Science. He's also a USAPA Nationals head coach, so he has a lot of insight into the USAPL and IPF. And he posted a very interesting thing, which I'll share on the screen right now, and also link his Instagram in the description below, in case you want to follow him, which I do. And he talked about how the IPF will be moving away from the Wilks coefficient. Now, for those of you that aren't aware what a Wilks score or coefficient is, it's basically a way to level the playing field, so to say, so you can compare lifters in different weight classes or even that are different genders. So you could take a woman lifter who, I don't know, their weight class is 59, maybe is the lightest, and you could compare their total versus a male heavyweight, 120 plus kg, and that way it kind of gives you a score, all things considered equal. Now, one of the big problems, and I think one of the big controversies about Wilks coefficient is a lot of people that say that it is not that equal and that it has a lot of biases towards it. There was a really great and interesting article released, I think last year, talking about some of these biases, I think specifically the gender and age bias that it has, and also talking about ways that we could potentially have a better scoring system. Now, I'm not sure what the IPF will eventually be going to, but I think this might cause a little bit of controversy, as all things powerlifting tends to do for those that take it probably a little bit more serious than they should, or that are at least a serious competitor. In that case, I think it's a little bit more understandable than someone like me who's just a general lifter and YouTuber who just likes to commentate on stuff because I can't think of any better content to talk about. Now, this being said, I personally have never been a huge fan of Wilks scores, namely because it does not benefit me, meaning that I've always kind of had a bias towards it, saying that it doesn't take into consideration things like height. So for example, if I compare myself, who competes in the 105 kg or up to 231 pound weight class, someone who is like me, who is roughly 6'4", probably a little bit less these days after all my back snaps on squats and my ugly conventional rounded back deadlifts. But as part of that, if you can compare that to me like one of my good friends, Bryce Lewis, who also competes in the same weight class and is a hell of a lot stronger than me, true, but we have very different build and body types. So even though we're in the same weight class, technically, I'm very tall and for the most part pretty lanky, unfortunately, where he's more of a little bit of a lovable meatball and he's got a lot more muscle mass than I do. So I've always kind of thought that was not necessarily fair in most cases. Leverages are different, things of that nature. And no matter how you want to spin it, there's also a lot of other variables that you could really discuss here in terms of how it can have certain biases towards other people. Again, especially if it's not benefiting you. For those that it benefits, I'm sure that there's no problem with Wilks whatsoever. So I'm very interested to see the direction they go in. But overall, I still think that no matter which way you spin it and which way you kind of put things together, there's going to be a way that someone's not going to be happy with the results of it. So instead, the way that I look at Wilks score isn't really to compare myself to other lifters. I don't think that's really fair to do in most cases. Kind of like if you're comparing different generations of NBA players, so to say, it's just a different time. And in this case, it's just a different scenario with weight classes, gender, etc. But for me, it gives me an idea of where I am just personally. So for example, if I had a meet last year where I had a certain total at a certain body weight, albeit still in the same weight class, and then this year I do something similar where maybe my total wasn't as high, but my body weight was a little less, I'll take a look at my Wilks score just to see how they compare. And in some instances, I might have a better or similar Wilks score, even though I had a lower total, which is because I had a lower body weight. So it just gives me some insight into how I perform at different body weights and whatnot. But to be honest, even though it's super impressive to see a really light person with a really high Wilks score because for their body weight, it's really impressive lifts, or vice versa for someone who's super heavyweight who totals over 2,000 pounds, it's still really impressive. But I don't really worry about it that much or compare myself to them, only because I think there's way too many variables on the table anyways, and I don't think it's really fair, and I don't concern myself with it because I would never be going up to them head-to-head in a competition anyways. You've probably heard some people say, there's no weight classes in the jungle, and those are the people that tend to just favor a very high total. There's also no powerlifting meets in the jungle, which you might have also heard, which doesn't really matter and kind of goes back to the point of who really cares in the first place. So I just wanted to get this out there. If you are an interested lifter in this, just know that your Wilks score probably is going to go away if you compete in the IPF or USAPL. If you don't, it doesn't really matter. But in the long run, it probably shouldn't matter too much anyways. I did, however, want to get your guys' opinion. What are you more impressed with? A very high Wilks score or just overall total? Or what do you take into consideration when you compare yourself to other lifters? Hopefully that's some food for thought. Let me know in the comment section below. As always, in the meantime, thanks for watching and stay big.